What are your thoughts on the Abrego Garcia story then?
On this story, I mean, it is a hard one because I do think that politically, I think it's politically, you're right, that the immigration story is on Trump's side. I mean, he was elected to seal off the border, deportations. I think the due process is the part that the Democrats are arguing about. Like, they want to make sure that there is due process, and obviously the halting. This is the guy who was the hairdresser, right? The makeup artist?
No.
Okay.
This is the wife beating MS-13 gang member.
In this video, Tim Pool discusses the Abrego Garcia case on Timcast IRL. Some lady on the panel disagrees with Tim Pool and they debate the topic. With that, let's watch Tim Pool explain to a left-winger why Americans don't want to bring criminal gang members into the United States.
From Mediaites, Democrat senator tells Fox News he's not vouching for the man in Abrego Garcia case and will support a court deporting him. Now, this is a huge turnaround from a guy who nearly called him an American and stopped himself and then called him a resident. And with the media screaming to the high heavens, Maryland father, for a Democrat senator who was leading the charge to come out and be like, I'm not vouching for the guy and I'm okay with him being deported now. Wow, talk about a heavy 180. Now the issue for Democratic Senator Van Hollen is simply the issue of due process, not the MS-13 gang member accused of mercilessly beating his wife on more than one occasion. I think it's fair to say that they walked face first into this one. And here's the best part. 4 more Democrats are going down there. This is not, I don't know what they're thinking with this. You know, we are going to be having a debate in the culture war going over all the legal documents, which I believe shows he's gotten his due process. But the American people, like, of all of the things Trump has done, immigration is his most popular issue. Why are they setting themselves up like this?
To make me laugh, because I needed a good chuckle.
The Democrats are sitting back and they're like, what can we do that'll make Phil laugh today?
Absolutely. I mean, it's hilarious. They're falling over themselves, siding with the worst people that are here, that are their whole story is irredeemable. Like, he's here illegally. He's probably a member, or he's alleged to be a member of a gang, but it's been multiple courts that have said it, I believe. And I don't remember what the other person or the other organization that made allegations that he's in a gang, but they're reputable organizations. There's his ex-girlfriend has filed charges, or at least made claims of abuse.
His ex-girlfriend did?
I don't remember if it was
his wife.
Oh, it's his wife. Okay, my bad. All right, so fair enough. But this only goes to my point. He is totally
You're
not sympathetic
the
at all.
Democrats' favorite voter.
Right. Wait, Shane, do you want to read the first sentence of that paragraph right
Let me
there?
get my old man glasses on.
Old man glasses, just starting with
here.
at. Yeah.
At a master calendar hearing, the respondent, through counsel, admitted the factual allegations contained in the NTA and conceded removability as charged. Should I keep going?
Based on the respondent's admissions and concessions, the court found his removability to be established by clear and convincing evidence as required by INA 240C3. So this is the document from 2019, August 9th and September 27th, where they again confirmed he was to be removed. However, not to El Salvador, because a gang in Guatemala was threatening to kill him. This is the story. A Guatemalan gang was threatening his family, and they didn't feel that they could be protected in El Salvador. Now, the only question that needs to be asked based on this is, can he be deported somewhere else? The answer is yes, of course. And so then the error that the Trump administration made, they were supposed to have a USCIS interview with Abrego Garcia before sending him home. And they didn't. But under the Alien Enemies Act, he was allowed to do it. So, I feel like this horse, I would argue that we've beaten the dead horse on this story, but Democrats won't shut up about it. So let me just say we've ground the horse into glue at this point, because I don't know how many times we need to point out that this guy was found deportable, credibly an MS-13 gang member, now accused of beating his wife.
Between the multiple channels that I do commentary for, I can't tell you how much I dread this Abrego Garcia topic coming up as the subject for any of the videos these days, because I've talked about it so much, because it's all the Democrats and the liberal media want to talk about, because they have nothing else to whine about, and they're trying to make a big deal out of something, and it just makes them look like they're going to bat for illegal immigrant criminals rather than Americans. But the reason I dread the topic is because I've said the same things over and over so many times. I'm always afraid the audience is going to be like, yeah, you've said this stuff already. But the facts are the facts. I thought it was just matter of public record. The guy's part of MS-13. There are still morons that continue to argue in favor of this guy not being a part of MS-13. I don't know. I thought that a body covered in tattoos, let's say MS-13, and two different judges acknowledging he's part of MS-13, and the reason he wasn't supposed to be deported back to El Salvador was because he was afraid of a rival gang. I just can't believe people are arguing about this still. Bottom line, the Democrats, as always, hitch their wagon to the worst possible non-American horse. And as you just heard, Van Hollen's now saying, well, I mean, I'm okay with him being deported. Then why did you spend the money and waste your time and the taxpayers' time and the taxpayers' money to go see this guy? And now there's 4 more of them going. They will not let this stupid thing go. The only positive thing about it is, like I said, it just shows that they're in such disarray. They have nothing to whine about. They just don't have anything legitimate to whine about. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Any shakeups there?
Well, what are your thoughts on the Abrego Garcia story then?
On this story, I mean, it is a hard one because I do think that politically, I think it's politically, you're right, that the immigration story is on Trump's side. I mean, he was elected to seal off the border, deportations. I think the due process is the part that the Democrats are arguing about. Like, they want to make sure that there is due process, and obviously the halting. This is the guy who was the hairdresser, right? The makeup artist?
No.
Okay.
This is the wife beating MS-13 gang member.
Got it. All right, then I'm not fully up to date on this one. I was...
The hairdresser's a fake story too.
Why is that one fake?
Because they're not asylum seekers. You don't travel from Venezuela through the entirety of Central America, come to the United States and say, now I need asylum. You go to Mexico. You go to any other country. It's typically expected of any asylum seeker to go to the first safe country they get to. So for Venezuela...
That was supposed to be remain in Mexico under Trump.
Right. So this guy, he's like, Venezuela is dangerous for me. I better travel through all these other countries.
I have no doubt that he tried to get into the U.S. illegally and live here illegally. Of course. Indeed. Yeah.
And then when he went through, it's an executive hearing. We call them judges. They said his tattoos are MS-13, and he got deported to El Salvador.
To that horrible...
For MS-13 gang members.
Yeah, and they confirmed that he is an MS-13 member.
So he was found to be an MS-13 gang member in the standard procedure by his crown tattoos on his wrists.
Yeah.
Which the left is arguing are just crowns and they're not MS-13. And so I would just
They want him to have due process, essentially, right?
What is the due process of an illegal immigrant?
I mean, I think that they have the right to immigration court, right?
And they did.
And he lost.
Yes. He is deportable and he had crowns.
He lost during the Biden years, right? Is that
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
right?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, well, I think that'd be interesting to find out. Because, I mean, you might say, oh, the Trump administration has different criteria.
It's...
Listen, I can't really debate this one in the same way because I thought it was the Maryland hairdresser that we were talking about, or makeup artist.
He was in Maryland, was he?
Oh,
it was California.
Oh, the makeup artist was in California.
I don't know.
But the point is, you're right.
There's so many illegals that have come over since Joe Biden took office and stuff. So there's probably a Maryland hairdresser that's here illegally. So you're probably close to
Maryland.
I think I'm conflating it.
Yeah,
I'm conflating it because yes, some Democrats are doing this, and I do question. I mean, I think there's just a fear that it's happening so quickly and so recklessly, and that people are not getting their due process in the process of it. Especially when they're saying we're going to deport homegrown.
They are getting their due process. Do you each and every one of them?
Then why would the judge halt the guy that was being deported to Venezuela?
Yeah, right. So
why you roll your eyes?
Okay, so here's a question for you.
He's still a judge.
Why has Trump?
Even if he's an activist judge,
Sure.
if you want to say that, he's still a judge.
But Phil gave you a reason. It's that they're political activists who are trying to obstruct Trump. That's your answer. Why has Trump received 40% of all universal? Let me phrase unconstitutional universal injunctions.
I mean, I think that
81 out of like 200.
He was definitely pushing the boundaries of the Constitution. He tried to get rid of what was it? The
Birthright citizenship.
Yeah, he tried to get rid of that. He's definitely
He didn't try. He is actively doing so now, and it's going to court.
But the point and the point of
Supreme Court.
Except
point of it,
birthright
I doubt
citizenship
that will-
is falsely interpreted and does not exist.
He is pushing the limits of the Constitution every single day.
In what way?
I mean, with that alone,
But the Constitution says,
and also by
explicitly-
defying.
I don't want anybody to take a dump on the Constitution, so I'd call out Donald Trump if I thought he was doing that. Challenging different things in court, and like she said, pushing the limits, I think is a good thing, because whichever way the court rules, it adds that much more clarification to that part of the Constitution. I'm all for Donald Trump going after birthright citizenship because it is just a loophole to gain citizenship in the United States. Additionally, and related to that, the more and more we hear about these cases of Democrats whining about people being deported that are here illegally, you're constantly going to hear, he was here under asylum. And like Tim said, the majority of them didn't just go to another country that was close to them to escape whatever dangerous situation they were in and seek asylum. They came to the United States. The reason that they're described as having asylum in the United States is because that under Joe Biden, that's all you had to say if you wanted to get a free pass into the country. Say, I'm seeking asylum. That should be a very small percentage of the people that come over the border. But I'd be really interested to see of all the people that made contact with ICE under Joe Biden, how many of them said they were seeking asylum. Because as far as I understand, when you said you're seeking asylum under Joe Biden's administration, there was barely any vetting. And they'd say, here's a court date and a year plus, have fun in the United States. That's bananas. So you're going to hear asylum thrown around a lot, but all it's going to do is muddy the waters for people that were actually here under legitimate asylum. And then when Americans hear asylum, they're going to go, yeah, we've heard that one before. And it's going to hurt the people that really were escaping something serious. Anyway, let's wrap up the video.
By defying a judge's order, whether you don't agree or not, you should have halted that plane and put the person down and then gone through the
Supreme
process.
Court sided with him on that
And
regard.
the appeal,
The Supreme Court sided with him.
they allowed him to be deported.
The Supreme Court said no one can direct the executive branch to engage in foreign policy. And so the issue was, should Abrego Garcia be returnable? They should facilitate his return. And the argument from the conservatives or from Trump, that if he were to try to come back to the U.S., Trump must facilitate that return. Otherwise, we have nothing to do with it.
But then there's just these random guys,
Even if the Supreme Court had wanted to demand that Donald Trump bring Abrego Garcia back to the United States, they couldn't. The Supreme Court can't dictate how the executive branch handles foreign affairs, and they can't dictate foreign policy. So it's funny that the Democrats even act like that 9-0 ruling was in their favor, which I think if anyone's being honest, they know that's not true. But we want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this Abrego Garcia situation? Am I wrong that it's a whole lot of nothing and it's just Democrats desperately trying to cling to something? Or do you disagree with me and think he's been treated unfairly by the United States? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.